This is happening in America. This is racial profiling on steroids. It is disgusting and vile. This is not about keeping America safe with the integrity and sacred border. This is just about terrorizing brown people, terrorizing people with accents, getting rid of the other.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Stop harassing Native Americans. That is the message Democratic lawmakers are sending President Trump as his ICE thugs have detained Native Americans in various parts of the country, according to reports, in some cases for as long as 7 to 8 hours. Let me show you some of the new details we're getting. A group of Democratic lawmakers is demanding immediate action to halt what they describe as unconscionable harassment of Native American citizens by ICE. On Wednesday morning, 9 congressional Democrats sent a letter by Newsweek to President Trump urging him to direct ICE agents to, quote, stop harassing Native Americans. The letter detailed an incident in New Mexico in which an ICE agent reportedly stopped a tribal citizen at a convenience store and questioned their U.S. citizenship. Navajo Nation officials told CNN that federal immigration enforcement operations had stopped, questioned, or detained at least 15 indigenous individuals in Arizona and New Mexico during immigration raids that began last week. In the letter, members of Congress, led by Representative Teresa Leger Fernandez of New Mexico, urged the administration to, quote, take additional actions to prevent racial profiling. I think that one's out the door, and ensure that the rights of Native Americans are respected. Quote, targeting Native Americans and questioning their citizenship, like we saw in New Mexico last week, is not only harassment, it's un-American, Fernandez told Newsweek. Quote, Native communities have been an integral part of the land since time immemorial, and every single tribal citizen has been a U.S. citizen since 1924. ICE's racial profiling undermines tribal sovereignty, violates our values, and spreads fear in communities that deserve our respect and protection. That's why in this letter, we demand that the administration end these discriminatory actions immediately and find ways to make sure that no one is targeted simply because of the way they look. Quote, what we wanted to do was make sure that we raised this with the president, that this is not acceptable. Native Americans are the quintessential Americans. In order to be a tribal member, you have to have a certain amount of Native American blood and be a descendant of another tribal member, which clearly would make you a citizen of the U.S. because you were born here. Your ancestors were born here. By the way, they're not only doing this to Native Americans, although clearly it's outrageous. Native Americans are more American than you and I. They are doing this to anyone that looks brown, anyone that even talks with an accent. There's been plenty of reports of people caught up and stopped and questioned by ICE, legal citizens, because they have an accent or otherwise. I want to play a clip from Charles Newton. She is a delegate of the Navajo Nation Council. She talked about this and cases she was hearing from Navajo members. She was very, very concerned, and contrary to a lot of the right wingers out there saying, well, this is not happening, she described in detail, yeah, this is happening. Let's take a look.
I was contacted. I was not the only person contacted. Just so you know, there were others who were contacted. And there was an individual who was detained in Phoenix, an individual who is a Navajo male, was detained in Phoenix. Apparently it happened yesterday, and was released sometime this morning. The detainment was done by ICE, and it was a scary, traumatic experience. This individual, we were contacted by the mother of this individual. And mom said, you know, like, please don't put my name out there. Please don't say it because I'm scared. I'm scared because I'm afraid that the government is going to come after me for telling about what happened. If you are saying that that's not what Trump is saying, what I questioned is how many U.S. presidents have ever talked about citizenship of American Indians and compared that to what is happening with illegal immigrants. And nobody could say not one president, because not one United States president has ever questioned the citizenship of American Indians after the Citizenship Act was passed. The reality is, we know that Immigration Custom Enforcement is making sweeps. Some people are justifying it, and they're saying, well, they're only doing sweeps of those, neighborhoods where there's, drug issues, or maybe where, it's the poor neighborhoods. Well, guess who lives in those neighborhoods? Sometimes it's us. So you're justifying and you're saying, well, they're doing it over there. What really scares me is, in history, people have always justified things that have happened, and now we can look back and we can say, wait, that was wrong. How did you guys justify that?
Quote, scary, traumatic experience. The part about the mother of the man who was detained, the Native American who was detained, please don't put my name out there. Imagine that. I mean, when I was at Standing Rock, it chilled me. I mean, I'm a white guy from Long Island. I never dealt with oppression. I never dealt with living on a reservation. It was chilling on camera, but particularly off camera, to talk to Native Americans and hear about their life experience and hear about just the day-to-day racism and bigotry and fear, in many cases, that they had to live with by us, the Americans, the American government. They have basically been deported to reservations on their own land that we stole. And now a mother is afraid and pleading, don't put my name out there, because maybe she's afraid that she'll get caught up in this. Maybe she's afraid they could get deported. Again, Native Americans, more American than you and I. They already have so much to fear in America, being a Native American. The discrimination, the racism, the poverty, the epidemic of missing and kidnapped and killed indigenous women. And now they have to fear ICE agents coming after them. It's just disgraceful. And when she pointed out, again, this was Charles Newton, a delegate on the Navajo Nation Council. I've reached out to her and some others for interviews, by the way. When she talks about the right-wingers saying, oh, they're only doing this in the neighborhoods where there's crime or drug issues or poor neighborhoods. Oh, yeah? That's where they're doing it? Well, they're not just doing this to Native Americans. I mean, there's reports right here. A 3-year-old, his mother and his grandmother were speaking Spanish while shopping at a deportment store in Milwaukee. They're U.S. citizens from Puerto Rico, but were taken by ICE. Let me repeat. U.S. citizens from Puerto Rico, they were taken by ICE while shopping in Milwaukee. It wasn't until they were in detention that the mother was allowed to produce identification and birth certificates indicating their citizenship. I am so sorry, she was told. The family had to order and pay for a ride back home. This is happening in America. This is racial profiling on steroids. It is disgusting and vile. It has nothing to do, if you're MAGA and you're watching this, this is not about keeping America safe or the integrity and sacred border, the integrity of our country. We need a border or we won't have a country, as Trump says. This is just about terrorizing brown people, terrorizing people with accents, getting rid of the other. It's absolutely disgusting. She also talked about the fact that no other president has evoked Native Americans and cast doubt that Native Americans are citizens as part of their effort to end birthright citizenship. And if you missed it, that's exactly what the Trump administration did in their filing to try and end birthright citizenship. Excluding Indians, Trump administration questions Native Americans' birthright citizenship in court. In the Trump administration's arguments defending his order to suspend birthright citizenship, the Justice Department called into question the citizenship of Native Americans born in the U.S. under the 14th Amendment, citing 19th century law that excluded Native Americans from birthright citizenship. In a case on Trump's birthright citizenship executive order coming out of Washington, Justice Department attorneys quote the 14th Amendment, which reads, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside," and hang their one of their arguments on the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof." Under this plain terms of the clause, birth in the United States does not by itself entitle a person to citizenship. The person must also be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, the filing read. The Justice Department then goes on to cite the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which predates the 14th Amendment by 2 years. The Justice Department attorneys specifically cite a section of the act that notes that, quote, "all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the U.S." The Trump administration then goes on to argue that the 14th Amendment's language, the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof," is best understood to exclude the same individuals who were excluded by the act, i.e. those who are subject to any foreign power and Indians not taxed. Translated, they're trying to basically say that Native Americans are not American because they're not part of the jurisdiction of the U.S. The same jurisdiction that we stole, that we created after stealing their land. The same jurisdiction that we hang over their heads while we break treaties that we made with Native Americans and respective tribes. It's obscene. It's so racist. It's not a dog whistle. It's a blaring siren. The bells are going off. It's just viral. It's just vile. And, you know, this isn't about supporting Democrats. If you didn't vote for Harris, so be it. I voted for Jill Stein personally. This is about, we got to call a spade a spade. You could have your righteous criticism of the Democratic Party. I talk about it all the time. But let's call this what it is. This has nothing to do with making America safe. This has nothing to do with stopping the influx of drugs. This has nothing at all to do with law and order. This is about the MAGA project. This is about blaming the other, castigating the other, demonizing the other, even if the other is actually more American than you and I. I won't say who, but I had a conversation with someone yesterday saying, I have no problem with any Native Americans that are here legally, but if they're those that are here illegally, they have to go. I said, think about what you just said. Those Native Americans that are here illegally, do you not see that that makes no sense? They are Native Americans. They cannot be here illegally. Frankly, if you want to go to law, which has been bastardized and mangled in memoriam here, we are the illegal ones on their land, if we want to be specific about it. It's just disgusting. Let me show you more. This is from Native News Online. The Navajo Nation Office of Vital Records has been inundated with calls from tribal members residing off reservation, many of whom report being questioned by ICE agents about their identity. Arizona State Senator Teresa Hathathaly, sorry if I'm mispronouncing, who represents Arizona's 6th Senate District, highlighted a specific incident where a Navajo citizen was detained for 9 hours. She stressed the urgent need for emergency protocols to protect tribal members. Navajo Nation Council Speaker Crystalline Curley echoed the urgency, emphasizing the critical role of the executive branch in safeguarding tribal members living off reservation. Quote, "Our people are reaching out to us directly and their needs are urgent," Speaker Curley said. "We must act swiftly to ensure their safety and well-being. Our constituents are depending on us for solutions." Hathali stressed that many tribal members struggle with documentation, which is worsened under the recent ICE sweeps. Despite possessing certificates of Indian blood and state-issued IDs, several individuals have been detained or questioned by ICE agents who do not recognize these documents as valid proof of citizenship. There are no words. I want to read to you an email I got from a viewer in Canada, a Native American, on their fear for what's going on in America and how it could affect them. I found this super chilling. I've blacked out their identity because I didn't have permission to identify them. I am from Ontario and I'm concerned about family who cross U.S. border whilst working for trucking company. Also family in the USA and even crossing border to shop in the USA. We live in a border town close to Michigan. We are Ojibwe. We look indigenous, often mistaken as Mexican. I am worried and concerned as to what our rights are in the USA if ever detained at customs. Who would we contact for help? Ontario government? National Native leadership? I'm a grandma worried about the Donald Trump purge. Please let me know more info so I could post in Facebook and social media. I saw this email on your program and I'm also testing out the contact. Thank you for keeping us informed. I mean, I don't have the answer, but that's Canadians worried about coming to America now. It's just unbelievable. And frankly, where is the media attention specifically on this? I mean, the media is covering ICE raids in general, but not the fact that Native Americans are being detained. It's obscene. Well, I guess the media is the same place they were during Standing Rock, somewhere else, because why should we bother or care about Native Americans being terrorized, right? Absolutely disgusting. As I said in my video the other day, if you are a tribal member, if you're Native American and are having issues with ICE, if you've been approached, if there's things going on in your community, or you feel intimidated, please reach out to us. info@statuscoup.com, info@statuscoup.com. I can protect your identity if needed. We would love to hear from you. Tips are welcome. We will continue to stay on this story and support us if you can as a paying member to Status Coup for as low as $5 a month. statuscoup.com/join.